Alright guys, welcome back to a new video. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch is the heart of Elastic, and it is a distributed search and analytics engine built on Apache Lucene. So since its release in 2010, Elasticsearch has quickly become one of the most popular search engines. It's commonly used for log analytics, full-text search, security intelligence, business analytics, and operational intelligence use cases. So this will be a very interesting video, so let's jump right into it.
Alright, so before we start, I want to show you guys a use case on how Walmart used Elasticsearch to actually prevent gift card scams. So Walmart has over $6 billion worth of gift cards. Okay, so over $6 billion worth of gift cards. And what the problem was that consumers would buy US only gift cards. But scammers from other countries would find a way to scam these consumers and then get a hold of these gift cards. And these scammers would get millions of dollars worth of these gift cards every single day. And Walmart had to do something to stop this. So what they did was they stored all the data of the balance checks in Elasticsearch. So all the data of balance checks in Elasticsearch. So for example, when this gift card goes to the scammer, they'd have to do a balance check to find out how much that gift card is, and then they can redeem it. So what Elasticsearch did is, so remember that these are hundreds of millions of gift cards and millions of dollars every day. So much data is going into Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch does a really good job of taking all this data and then being able to actually give a very good visual representation of this data. So then Walmart, the Walmart staff would see, oh, well, a scammer from a different country, well, they've done 1,000 balance checks from a different country. That's suspicious. So let's freeze these cards. So then they freeze the cards, and then they can check back to the consumer, and then find out if it's true, and then redeem the money back to the consumer. So that's what Elasticsearch really did good, is they helped actually prevent these gift card scams by taking in all this data and giving a great visual representation. So now let's talk about the Elasticsearch architecture. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Elasticsearch architecture. So first, let me just show you an MVC, a model view control of Elasticsearch. So for example, let's say we have our website, our HTML, better, right? And then we have, so we'll just call this our client side. And then we have a database, DB, okay? And then we just have our server. Okay, so how this would work is if the client wants to get some data, let's say they want to sign up. So to get the username and password or sign up. So the client would send a request to this server. The server would send a request to this database. They would give a response back. So let's say they want to find, let's say, a picture of a cat. So then they send it back to our server, and then the server sends it back to the client, which gets displayed. So basically, let's think of an example. So let's say this is a search engine, let's say like Google, or maybe just a website, like an e-commerce website. So let's say like Amazon. So you want to search for an item in Amazon, and you want to get the most accurate products that the consumer wants. So let's say that they enter, for example, I don't know, some specific brand, a specific basketball brand. So let's say they want to get Spalding Vasquez. Okay, but what if the client they misspell Spalding or something like that? So let's say they misspell Spalding. So then they send it to our server, and let's say this is a relational database. And it's really hard for this relational database to get relevant results if the spelling is wrong. Okay? So what we can actually do is we can add Elasticstack into this. So let's erase these. And now I'll show you how this is going to work. So now we can just add Elasticstack here. And the client is still going to send the request to the server. Now the server is going to send a request to Elasticsearch, and it's going to, it has a way to actually search through this database, and it gets more relevant results, send it back to Elasticsearch, and then Elasticsearch sends it back to our client. Okay, so that's an MVC. Alright, so now let's talk a little bit about the Elasticsearch architecture. So in Elasticsearch, we have clusters. Okay, so we have a cluster. And we also have a master node that controls this cluster. Okay, and in these clusters, we have our nodes. Okay, so we'll say 3 nodes. Okay, so we have our master node, and then we have our client nodes. So now, basically, in Elasticsearch, we have to store this data. Okay, we have to store data, and this data is kind of split into these indexes. So a nice way to describe it is like an index is like a table in a relational database. So it's like a table, you can think of it. So these indexes are on top of these nodes, and they kind of help categorize our data so we can search through it efficiently. Okay, so let's say we have our users index, we can have maybe items, and then maybe transactions. Okay, and then these are indexes, and these indexes just categorize the data. They don't actually store the data. And then inside of these indexes, we have our the actual things that store data. We call these shards. So let's draw shards, and these store the data. So these can store different data, documents, and things like that. Okay, so we have shards, and these store the data. So, we have indexes, we have master node, we have cluster. Let's write that down. And then we have our shards. So what we do is on these different nodes, because let's say this node, I don't know, something wrong happens to it, and then these shards are gone. So what we do is we back up these shards on our different nodes. Okay, so for example, this could have this shard, right? This could have this guy's. And then, I don't know, this could store something else, right? So they have backups on each of these nodes. So if something goes wrong, they just back up the information on a different node. So they call, these are our primary shards because these are the actual data for the node. And then we have our backup or shards in the node as well. Okay, so what's neat about this is since we have backup, we can actually run, if we're looking through one different shard, we can actually run multiple processes and find data from the same shard. So we can do it fast. But yeah, so that's the Elasticsearch architecture. So now let's actually go onto our computer and we can actually use Elasticsearch.
Okay, so pretty much I want to show you guys how to use Elasticsearch and Kibana on your machine. So one thing I forgot to mention in the demonstration or the architecture is that basically the visual representation is all handled by Kibana, and the actual search an analytics engine is Elasticsearch. So just that's why we're installing Kibana too. Okay, and these are all part of the Elastic Stack. So pretty much today we're going to be using Elasticsearch 7.14.0. There is a later release, but I had some issues with that. So I just tested it out on both my Windows and my Mac. And this Elasticsearch 7.14.0 works and runs the smoothest. Okay, so I'm going to put the download link for both of these in the description down below. But all you have to do is just type Elasticsearch and then 7.14.0 and then Kibana 17.14.0. Okay, now just download whichever operating system that you're on. Some of the commands to run Elasticsearch is different between Windows and Mac. And I'm using a Mac right now, but I'll put a link in the description on the commands for Windows too. Okay, so once you've installed these, you should get like a tar file. Let me just go to my home, kind of like this, and just double click on them, and you will unzip them to Elasticsearch in Kibana. Okay, so I already have done some things on my Elasticsearch in Kibana, so I don't want to reinstall and delete these first, but it's really simple. Just unzip those, and then you should get Elasticsearch in Kibana. Okay, so perfect. So if this process runs smoothly, then great. If it doesn't, you can put a whatever your problem is in the description, or sorry, the chat, and I'll try to help you with that. If you're watching this video live as it's premiering, then you can just put it in the live chat, and I'll try to answer it. Okay, but anyways, if this is all good, you can just cd into your Elasticsearch directory. This is just open up a new terminal, and then in our Elasticsearch directory, we can actually cd into bin. So now if we hit ls, you can see we have some different things in our bin, but this Elasticsearch is actually going to run Elasticsearch. So /Elasticsearch and just hit enter. Okay, so this is actually just going to run Elasticsearch. All right, perfect. So it's running smoothly, and Elasticsearch runs on localhost 9200. So if you hit localhost 9200, and now reload, and if it gives you this JSON object, perfect, you're good to go. So yeah, pretty much Elasticsearch has started now. So remember that all the data in Elasticsearch is stored as JSON objects. So I forgot to mention that earlier, but yeah. Okay, so now Elasticsearch is running, and we can actually do all our requests. Another thing that you have to know is to give like commands to Elasticsearch. This is all done through its RESTful API. If you guys don't know what that is, I have a video, and I'll link it down in the description about REST APIs. Okay, but anyways, that's good. So now we can actually run Kibana. So open up your new screen and cd into your Kibana. Okay, hit return. And one thing that you probably don't want to do, because I had some issues with it earlier, try not to rename these folders because you might get some issues later. But now we can just cd into our bin, and as the same thing, we just say /Kibana. Okay, and this is going to run Kibana. Make sure that you run Elasticsearch before Kibana, and don't close this Elasticsearch while this is running, because it will not work, because this is your server. So okay, perfect. So if this is running fine, which it is, we can actually go to localhost 5601, and this will load our Elastic. Okay, so Kibana is on localhost 5601. You can see it right here. Okay, and before I start, if you want to rename your cluster, because when we did our localhost, you can see our cluster's name is Elasticsearch. All you have to do, just go into your Elasticsearch, go into your config, and then open up your elasticsearch.yaml. I'm just going to open up in VS Code. And then now you can see that your cluster name, just uncomment this and then just type whatever name that you want. But after that, you have to redo your Elastic. So I'm not going to do that right now, but that's just how you do it if you want to. Okay, so now in our home Elastic, what we can actually do is we can go to DevTools by hitting this, and now we can actually write our commands. So right now, let's actually create an index. So let's say to do this, we have to say put, and then you want to say the index name. So let's say, I don't know, basketball. Okay, so I already have one called basketball stats before I did it to test it. So now let's say, I don't know, basketball players. Okay, so the stats one was talking about like points and stuff like that. Now let's say basketball players. Okay, and then let's say that this is going to talk about, this is going to store data about, let's say, the player, top 10 players, and maybe it'll store data on how many points they average or how many assists, something like that. It's just top 10 in my opinion. But perfect, if this runs fine, it should return you this JSON object. It says shards acknowledged, true, and then tells you the index of basketball players. Perfect. So now let's actually add some data into this. So what we have to do is we can say, or actually before we do that, let's actually get this. So we can say basketball players, and then we just run this, and then it shows our basketball players. So you can see we have one shard as default. We have our name, but no data in it yet. Okay, so now let's add some data into it. So we can say put in our basketball players, and then we actually can put a document, so _doc, and then we have to put the ID for this document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order them from 1 to 10, okay? So just in my opinion, what are basketball players 1 to 10, my favorite basketball players, okay? You guys can make whatever index or whatever you want. I just want to make this just because it kind of helps with stats and stuff when I show you how to do the visual representation. But yeah, so let's just run this. And then body is required. So this throws this error. It's just because I didn't actually give what I want to enter. So now we can actually put our JSON object. So let's say we have the basketball player's name. Okay, so let's just say, I don't know, Michael Jordan. All right. And let's have this encodes as well. And now let's say that we have to, let's say that we want to store points as well. So we can compare the points of my favorite basketball players. Okay, and then Michael Jordan, I'm pretty sure, averaged 30.1 points. So that's it. So, okay, so that we just created our JSON object. Now we can just submit this. Okay, perfect. So it is great. It is created. And now we can actually see this. So now we can actually run a GET request to our basketball players and say /search, so we can search through this. All right, and now you can see we have our name, Michael Jordan, and points of 30.1. So that didn't show there before. Now, so let's just add a few more players. So let's say 9 more. And this is just to show you guys like how this works. Obviously, this is going to be way at scale. There can be millions of these different documents. I just want to show you guys how to use this. Okay. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so let's change this ID for each of these. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's just 8 there. Or no. Let's change this to 0. 8, and then we'll say 9, and then 10. Okay, so I'm just going to fill all this out and then get back to you when I'm done. Okay, so I added all the players. So you can see we have Air Jordan, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Ja Morant, Giannis, Kyrie Irving, Luka Magic, Kobe, Kawhi, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and myself. So, in my opinion, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. So you can see all of these are here. So if we just run this get and run this, you can see everything's here. So perfect. So now let's actually do some visualization on this. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to go to Elastic, you want to go here, and you want to go to your stack management, or sorry, index patterns. And here you just want to hit create new index patterns. And now our index name is basketball players, right? Basketball, or let's say top 10. We'll call it top 10. There. And then, oh no, we have to actually specify this. Basketball players. Fine. Okay, next step. Okay. Show advanced settings. No, that's fine. Now we can create our index pattern. Okay, so we have, yeah, perfect. So this is our index pattern. And now we can actually do our visualization. So we can go to analytics, we can go to dashboard, and then we can do create visualization. Okay, so we're actually in a different, we're in basketball, which is my old one that compared some stats and stuff. But now we actually need to go to basketball players. Perfect. So now we're in basketball players. So let's just create a bar graph. So on our horizontal will be the names, on the vertical will be the points. So it'll line it up from the greatest scorers to the worst scorers out of the top 11, I think, that I put, or top 10. So we can just drag the names onto our horizontal, and we can drag the point into our vertical. And bam, so it just created our graph. Perfect. So we can see really easily like the difference in points. You can see myself, Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant, we can see, and then we have other here too. And we can also even add multiple, like if you're wondering if I want to see all of them, we just go to top values, and then this is number of values 5. Let's change this to 11. I think, is that an extra? Let's say 10. Is that fair? Snake. Here. 100. Okay. So we have a lot more of them. I think there's not enough space to show everything. Let's show this way. Yeah, this is better. Okay. So you can see we see everything. And then we can see all these good things. So we can save and return. We have our graph. We can run different visualizations and stuff. Some different filters. Let's say we want to add a filter. We want to say, or let's add a filter. And we want to add it for only myself, right? So then we can see myself. And we can see different things like that. But yeah, so you can clearly visualize this data. All right, so that's pretty much it for how to use Elasticsearch and Kibana. All right, guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, please consider hitting the thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can see all of my new videos, get notified, and also so when I do premieres or live streams like this, you can ask questions in at the live chat. Okay, so yeah, once again, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, peace.